How's it going, all you beautiful people? Today we'll be talking about the Pokemon market in 2026. As a lot of you guys might know, a lot of Pokemon products across the board dipped and fell from the high anywhere between 20 to 30% towards the end of 2025. Some more than 30%, some less than 20%, but I would say the overall Pokemon market probably dropped anywhere between 20 to 30%. And since then, there's been a little bit of recovery, there's been some stabilization. So that leaves a lot of people to think what's going to happen in 2026? Will prices continue to drop? Will prices continue to go up? Will prices stabilize and not do much for a couple of months? And we don't know. Some people want prices to drop, some people want prices to go up, some people don't really care, some people are just waiting to see what's going to happen. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a collection of ETBs. I know that booster boxes are typically what people use in terms of quote unquote Pokemon investing. I'm going to use ETBs just because I don't want to exclude certain products, like specialized products such as 151, Prismatic Evolutions, just because they're, I think, really important sets to see how the overall market is doing. So I got all of the ETB prices from Scarlet and Violet base forward on January 1st. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to revisit these prices of all these ETBs probably on a weekly basis and see how it's performing. Because a lot of people will sit there and say, oh, prices are going to go up, oh, prices are going to go down. But one thing is for sure, if the data shows that prices are going up over time and continue to go up over time, then we know that it's going up. I mean, data doesn't lie. I think a lot of people have opinions on how the market's going to perform, but without actually seeing the data for yourself, you don't really know. It's just kind of a wait and see. So I have a lot of the ETBs, or all the ETBs from Scarlet and Violet base. I have it here with me in front of me just because I didn't memorize the prices. So I have Scarlet and Violet base, Miraidon and Koraidon. The Miraidon one is 2108. The Koraidon is 8691. Paldea Evolved, and this is in the order of when they got released. Paldea Evolved ETB was 124.97 on January 1st. Obsidian Flames was 159.60. 151 was $375.87. Paradox Rift Iron Valiant was $93.27 on January 1st. Paradox Rift Roaring Moon was $104.93. Paldean Fates ETB was $264.20. Temporal Forces Iron Leaves EX was $80.25. Temporal Forces Walking Wake was $82.31. Twilight Masquerade was $66.93. Shroud of Fable ETB was $73.40. Stellar Crown ETB was $91.74 on January 1st. Surging Sparks ETB was $69.15 on January 1st. Prismatic Evolutions $122.55. Journey Together $84.23. Destined Rivals $133.91. Black Bolt $84.25. White Flare $79.01. Mega Evolutions Mega Gardevoir $75.74. Mega Evolutions Mega Lucario $84.63. And Phantasmal Flames $71.11. So there are 22 ETBs that I'm going to keep track of the prices on a weekly basis in 2026 to see how they perform. But if someone were to buy all 22 of these ETBs, so all 22 of the ETBs from Scarlet and Violet base forward, they would have spent $2,506.04 on January 1st, 2026. Do you think that when we see 2027 come around on January 1st, 2027, do you think this $2,506.04 will be higher or lower from all these 22 ETBs or stay the same? And that is what we're going to see this year. I think we'll also talk about the market, how it's performing. And I used ETBs just because, like I said earlier, booster boxes are typically what people use for investing in sets, but I didn't want to use ETB, or I didn't want to use booster boxes because I didn't want to exclude certain sets like 151 or Prismatic Evolutions. And I think after booster boxes, ETBs are the next thing that people typically invest in. There's also booster bundles, but I'm going to go with the ETBs. So, with that, I also ordered these from smallest to largest to just see the landscape of these ETBs and see if there's any, I guess, sleepers or what I think are going to perform well or are underrated currently. And if you order them from lowest price to highest price, you'll see that the two lowest ones are Twilight Masquerade and Surging Sparks. And those two to me are the most underrated on this list. I personally think that these two sets are really they're gonna be good sets through the years. I think they'll perform well. I think that there's a lot of potential for them. The only reason why they're this low is because Twilight Masquerade and Surging Sparks were just printed like crazy. Big box stores got a whole bunch of ETBs. The vending machines had these ETBs, and I think there was so much on the market that it just drove the price down because there's a huge population of people that will get a lot of product that they don't actually want to resell it instantly. So ETB's MSRP is $50. So if you get any of these ETBs for $50 plus tax, that's about $55. And you can see that there are some profits to be made. I think it's a little hard to sell a lot of these ETBs for the actual price because if you sell it on TCG Player, there's a fee of almost 15%. Locally, people will probably want to sell less. So as there are a lot more Twilight Masquerade and Surging Sparks ETBs on the market, I think the price kept going down and then people didn't want it as much. People were having a hard time reselling it. So it just continued to drive the price down. But I think that as they stop printing these ETBs as time goes on, because they can't print Twilight Masquerade and Surging Sparks ETBs forever, I actually think that Twilight Masquerade ETBs are I'm starting to see less of them. I do still see a lot of Surging Sparks around, but Twilight Masquerade I'm starting to see a little less over time. So I do think that these two are very underrated. The third one I'm going to point out is Prismatic Evolutions ETBs at $122.55 on January 1st. I think that Prismatic Evolutions is a very underrated set in terms of price, and that might seem kind of crazy because it is the fifth highest value from this list, only behind, sorry, sixth, only behind 151 Paldean, Obsidian, Destin, and Paldea Evolved. But the thing about Prismatic Evolutions is it's gotten printed like crazy. I don't know. I don't have numbers of how many products of each set were printed, but I think Prismatic Evolutions is probably one of the most printed sets that I've seen, or the most printed set that I saw last year. I mean, Prismatic Evolutions, it was literally everywhere. They had so many different boxes, collection boxes, ETBs, booster bundles, Costco bundles, um, tins, Sam's Club tins. It was living everywhere, and even with that, the price of Prismatic Evolutions is still high. I mean, with how much they printed, you would expect that the products for Prismatic Evolutions across the board would have dipped a bit. It's dipped, but it's still holding strong relative to other products. So the three most underrated ones on this list to me are Twilight Masquerade, Surging Sparks, and Prismatic Evolutions ETBs. What do you guys think personally are the most underrated ETBs on this list? Do you think that any of these will be a lot higher at the end of the year? Do you think any of these will be a lot lower at the end of the year? And obviously, we won't know until we see the data, but that is what I'm planning on doing. About a week from January 1st, 2026, so January 8th, I will get the prices and I will see the change in price. And then throughout the year, I'll have the change in price every single week. We'll be able to see it, talk about it, and just see how the market is doing because I really don't know what 2026 is going to do. I think after Pokemon has been so strong for about 2 years and with prices going crazy, we finally saw a big dip about 20 to 30% across the board. So I'm kind of curious. 2026, a lot of people are saying they want prices to tank. Some people want it to go back up if they have a big investment portfolio of Pokemon cards. Some people don't really care, but one thing is for sure, the data will actually show if prices go up and down. So that is what I'm going to do in 2026. But what do you think? What do you think about these 22 ETBs? Do you think that they'll go up in price? How much do you think this will go up in price? Do you think this $2,506 will be 5,000 by the end of the year? 4,000, 3,000, 1,000, 2,000? What do you think about these ETBs and what do you think about the Pokemon market currently? Do you think that short term it's going to go up in price, down in price, stabilize? Just let me know in the comments. But anyways, thank you for watching so much. I will be back with this on January 8th or around there, at least with the January 8th prices, and we will see what happens to this for the end of the year. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're still here, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate all the support, and I hope you have a great, wonderful day. Bye.